All right. Before I tell you the main topic of this video, I'm going to be showing off, or actually sharing, some good news and bad news. First, we'll start with the bad news. The bad news is that my webcam is still acting very glitchy. Every time I click on camera, all you get is a white screen, which means you can't see me or anything else. If I were to click on screen, you still can't see me, but at least you can see what is recorded on the screen. For example, if I have a website on the screen and I click on screen, it records the website. The good news is my mom has gotten a hold of my dad, and I will be getting a new webcam very, very, very soon. Now, onto the main topic of this video. I'm going to be covering all of the Mario Show episodes from Season 21 that have Elmo's World segments from Sesame Street on them. So, Season 21 of the Mario Show would start on September 2nd, 2002, and Season 21 of the Mario Show would start on September 2nd, 2002, and end on January 17th, 2003. And let's see here. And each season of the Mario Show would have 100 episodes. Season 21 has 100 episodes, but out of all the 100 episodes of the Mario Show for Season 21, only 30 episodes have Elmo's World segments on them. The other 70 episodes do not have Elmo's World segments on them. So, as with any season of the Mario Show, a specific color background would be followed by a specific PBS Kids ident that would follow the color background in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers. So for Season 21, you would get the following backgrounds and PBS Kids ident combinations for Season 21. For Season 21, if you got the red background with Mario in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, you would get the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident where Dot runs up to the screen. If you get the green background with Luigi in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, you get the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident where Dash is thinking about something. If you get the orange background with Princess Daisy in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, you'd get the 1999 PBS Kids Live Action Kids Station ident. If you get the pink background in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers with Princess Peach, you'd get the 2000 PBS Kids Dot transformation ident where Dot transforms into a tiger, octopus, and astronaut. If you get the light blue background with Princess Rosalina in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, even though Princess Rosalina would never appear on any Nintendo games until 2007, she would appear on the Mario Show a decade earlier in November of 1997. So if you were to get the light blue background with Princess Rosalina in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, you get the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident where Dash transforms into a caveman, scuba diver, and robot. If you get the yellow background with Yoshi in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, you get the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident where Dash looks into a fishbowl, imagines himself as an orange goldfish, and gets eaten by Dot. And for season 21 of the Mario show, you would get the regular version of the PBS Kids fishbowl ident. And it would fade in and fade out and say pbskids.org in the ident, just like what happened on season 7 and 8 of Artfur. The same thing would happen again in season 21 of the Mario show, but because the Mario show season 21 would premiere on September 2nd, 2002, and season 7 of Artfur premiered on October 8th, that means the fade in and fade out effects would appear on the Mario show season 21 first and would be reused again in season 7 and season 8 of Artfur. Correction. The fade in and fade out effects in the PBS Kids fishbowl ident were actually first used when Artfur It's Only Rock and Roll aired on television the day prior season 21 of the Mario show premiered, which was on September 1st, 2002, a day before season 21 of the Mario show premiered. And I'm pretty sure the same fade in and fade out effects also apply with the PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, where it also fades in and out and says pbskids.org on season 7 and 8 of Artfur as well. And finally, if you were to get the purple background with Bowser, the main antagonist and the main villain of the show in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, you get the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident where Dash ice skates in an ice rink, and then after feeling the ground shake, he would stop ice skating, and then the camera would zoom out to reveal he's inside a snow globe, which of course is held by Dot. And notice that both Dot and Dash have blue skin in the snow globe ident instead of the usual lime green skin. Now, for Mario Show episodes with Elmo's World segments, if an Elmo's World segment appears on them, you would get a screen that would warn you about Elmo's World starting up a few seconds before it starts. For season 17 and 18, you get a red background with black text reading, "And now it's time for Elmo's World." And then for seasons 19 and onward, you get a white background with red text saying, "And now for an episode of Elmo's World." And while that happens, Mario, voiced by Charles Martinet, would say, "And now, for an extra special surprise, here is a bonus episode of Elmo's World." And then that screen would fade out, and then we get a page curl transition to whatever Elmo's World theme is used depending on the season of the segment. The season 1 segments would use the 1998 to 1999 version of the intro, which would have Elmo walking past his drawer, his closet door, and his goldfish Dorothy, then goes over to his window shade and draws a curtain on it, and then pulls the curtain down. Then he writes his name on the window shade, and then the Elmo's World logo forms on it. There's another version used in episodes from seasons 2 to 5, from 2000 to 2003, where the camera zooms even quicker to the stick figure compared to the first version from season 1. And then after that, in the season 2 to 5 version of the intro, from 2000 to 2003, you would see Elmo drawing on his drawer. The drawer bounces. Then he points to his goldfish Dorothy, and then walks past the door and his goldfish Dorothy. Walks past the drawer and his goldfish Dorothy, then goes over to the door, which the door starts pushing Elmo a little bit and shaking a little bit. And then after that happens, as Elmo goes over to his shade, he briefly dances with the television. And then after the TV leaves, Elmo keeps on dancing with the shade. And then, like before, he would draw his name on the shade or write his name on the shade, which makes the Elmo's World logo appear. Then there's a third version used on episodes from season 6 to 10, from late 2003 to 2009, which is basically a CGI reanimated version of the season 2 to 5 intro and theme, but with the looks of the drawer, door, and TV looking significantly different than the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme, as well as the shade looking completely different in the CGI version of the intro and theme used from season 6 to 10. Basically the same intro, but with more CGI elements. And sometimes different sound effects are used in the late 2003 to 2009 version of the intro. Sometimes they keep the old sound effects on some episodes with that intro, and sometimes they change the sound effects with newer ones. Now, because season 21 would premiere from September 2002 to January 2003, the episodes that would have Elmo's World segments would either have the season 1 intro and theme from 1998 to 1999, or the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme from 2000 to 2003. Because the season 6 to 10 intro and theme would not be used until season 22 of the Mario show in late 2003. Alright. Now, season 21 would be produced during 2 different seasons of Sesame Street. Season 21 would start production in late 2001, which was when season 33 of Sesame Street was still in production. And season 21 would conclude production sometime in mid-2002, which was around the time season 34 began production. Or season 34 was in production around that time. Now, for season 21, the first 50 episodes would be produced during season 33 of Sesame Street, and the last 50 episodes would be produced during season 34 of Sesame Street. Alright. Now we'll go over the episodes, but before we do, one more thing to mention. The first 36 episodes of season 21 would use the 2001 Columbia TriStar domestic television logo after the Sesame Workshop logo. But then, beginning with episode 37, they would switch over to the 2002 Sony Pictures television logo. And as for the Sesame Workshop logo, that would mark the earliest time it will have the sparkling and twinkling sound effects in the Sesame Workshop logo that would be used again in season 34 of Sesame Street, except that the only difference is that the Sesame Workshop logo does not have a byline reading a non-profit educational organization. That would not happen until season 34 of Sesame Street, and it wouldn't happen on the Mario show until the next season. Alright, now the main topic. Most of the time, the Elmo's World segments would appear in the middle of the Mario show episode, although sometimes it would appear at the beginning or at the end. But most of the time, it would appear in the middle. Alright, now on to the episodes themselves, starting with episode 2106, Fred the Fish's Sleepy Day. In that episode, let's say the premise of the episode is Fred the Fish couldn't sleep a wink last night after going to a fun aquarium party. And the Sesame Street character that would appear in this episode, I would imagine, is Big Bird. He would be the one comforting Fred the fish when he has a hard time falling asleep. And of course, the Elmo's World segment will appear at the very, very, very beginning of the episode, Fred the Fish's Sleepy Day, in this episode. And Fred the Fish would say, I am so sleepy. I can't sleep a wink last night because I was very excited about the aquarium party. I just need to go ahead and sleep for a while. And while I do that, you can visit Elmo's world because Elmo has a very exciting segment that is guaranteed to make you cozy and quiet. Then the scene would fade out. Then we get the screen as before. The same white screen with red text. And then it would page curl transition to the Elmo's World theme. And Fred the Fish's Sleepy Day would have the Elmo's World Sleep segment from season 4, which was during season 33 of Sesame Street at the time. And that means that it would have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before the segment starts. Plus, it would have the yellow background with Yoshi at both the beginning and the end of the episode, with the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident at the end. And as for the sponsors, episode 2106 would have Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal ad at the beginning as the first sponsor, which is the Jungle ad, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end as the first sponsor, with Fruit Loops at the beginning, Frosted Flakes at the end as the first sponsor. Then after that, Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version from season 20 to 21 with the different colors being shown and with John Ritter's voiceover, which is similar to the Artful version from season 6 to 8, but this time mentioning the Mario Show instead of Artful. Then after that, the SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta advertisement from 2002, Mario Show version, and not the Sesame Street version. And then last sponsor would be Chuck E. Cheese's opening door. So that's episode 2106. And now we'll go into the next episode. Episode 2110. Rosalina takes Mario to get a haircut. And as for episode 2106, before we get into episode 2110, let me talk about the air date. Episode 2106 would air on September 9th, 2002, which is a Monday. Fred the Fish's Sleepy Day, that is. Now, episode 2110, Rosalina takes Mario to get a haircut. That would air on Friday, September 13th, 2002. And in that episode, let's say Mario has very, very long hair, so Rosalina decides to take him to go get a haircut. And as for the Sesame Street character appearing in that episode, I'll have Grover be the one in episode 2110. And the Elmo's World segment will be placed in the middle of the episode for episode 2110. And let's say Mario's like, oh no, my hair is messed up. And then Grover's like, not to worry, I will go fix your hair up right away. And while I fix it, you, the viewer, you can visit Elmo's world. Elmo has a very special segment about hair. And then after that, the scene would fade out. We get the same screen with white background and red text. And the Elmo's World segment will be the hair segment from season 2 during season 31 of Sesame Street, which would have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before the episode starts. Plus, it would have the pink background with Peach at the beginning and at the end. And the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident is used at the end. And the sponsors for episode 2110, I'll have episode 2110 start off with SpaghettiOs 8 Disease Pasta ad. Then after that, Libby's Juicy Juice ad, Mario Show version. Then Kellogg's Fruit Loops cereal jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end as the second to last sponsor. Last but not least, Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad. Now for episode 2111, Mario's brand new phone. For the premise of the episode, let's say Mario's old phone breaks, so he gets a brand new one. But he waits for a very long time for it to come. And he gets increasingly bored every single time he checks the mail. And as for the Sesame Street characters on here, I'll have Elmo, Baby Bear, and Telly Monster in that episode. And the Elmo's World segment will be placed in the middle of the episode. And that episode, Mario's Brand New Phone, will air on Monday, September 16th, 2002. The Elmo's World segment will be placed in the middle of the episode for episode 2111. And he's like, "Oh dear, where is my brand new phone? I have still been waiting for a very, very long time. But I just can't stay aboard. But I got an idea. While I still wait for my brand new phone, I'll have the viewer go visit Elmo's world because Elmo has a segment all about the telephones." Then the scene would fade out. We get the same white background with red text. And the Elmo's World segment is about telephones, which would be from season 2 during season 31 of Sesame Street, with the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme song for Elmo's World before the segment starts. Then, and the Elmo's World segment about telephones was first used on episode 3870 of Sesame Street. Hair was first used on 3890 of Sesame Street. And sleep, that was first used on episode 3983 of Sesame Street, according to the Muppet Wiki. Now, as for the PBS Kids ident and color background Mario's brand new phone would use, it would be the red background with Mario and the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident, where dot runs up to the screen, of course. And For the sponsors, let's say Mario's brand new phone starts off with Libby's Juicy Juice, Mario Show version is the first sponsor. Following that would be SpaghettiOs A to Z's Pasta, then Kellogg's Fruit Loops Cereal Jungle at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center at the end, sponsors as the second to last sponsor. And last but not least, the Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad is the last sponsor. All right. Now we'll get into episode 2113, which is The Magic Book, which would air on Wednesday, September 18th, 2002. And this is a very interesting episode to talk about because it would be the very first episode of the Mario Show to contain the Elmo's World Books segment from Season 1. Yes, you heard me correctly. It's the very first. Sesame Street already aired that episode in February of 1999 in episode 3817 during season 30 of Sesame Street. However, it would not be until this episode of the Mario Show when the Elmo's World Book segment is first used on the Mario Show. So this would be a brand new episode for Mario Show fans to see. Even though it aired about almost 4 years after it originally aired on Sesame Street. As a result, it was pushed back by let's say about almost a little over 3.5 years. Although it would air on Sesame Street in February of 1999, it would not be until September 2002 when it finally airs on the Mario Show, that book segment. And that segment is placed in the middle of the episode when Mario and Luigi and the gang are trapped in the book and don't know how to get off of the book, and they're stuck in a predicament. And let's say what the Sesame Street characters that appear in this episode. Let's see. Elmo, Grover, Ernie, and Bert, Baby Bear, and Telly Monster. As well as the Count. These would be the characters in the episode The Magic Book. And let's say it's placed in the middle, and Mario's like, oh no, we are stuck inside the magic book. How are we ever going to get out of here? And then Elmo would say, not to worry, Mario. It will take a while to get out of the book, but the viewer doesn't have to see you stuck there. Hey, Elmo's got an idea. The viewer can go hang out in Elmo's world, because Elmo's got a very special segment that's guaranteed to keep you reading. It's all about books. Get ready. And then the screen would fade out. The scene would fade out. Then we get the same white background with red text signaling Elmo's world's about to start. Now, despite being pushed back to September 2002 on the Mario Show, it keeps the original 1998 to 1999 version of the intro and theme song intact, as it's the Season 1 segment. Because Books is from Season 1, during Season 30 of Sesame Street. In addition, it would have the purple background with Bowser in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, and the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident. And as for the sponsors, I'll have the Magic Book start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad from 2002 as the first sponsor. Following that would be Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Then Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the end as the second to last sponsor. And then the last sponsor would be SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta. So, that's episode 2113. It's the last episode with the 1999 Maryland Public Television logo after the Sinar logo, before they switch over to the 2002 Maryland Public Television logo with the next episode. As for the initial premise of the episode, the Magic Book, let's just say in that episode, everyone goes to check out a book at a library. Little do they know, they discover that the book is actually a magic book that makes pictures come to life. So, that's episode 2113. Now we'll go to episode 2116, which is the very first episode to use the 2002 Maryland Public Television logo at the beginning. Or at the end, excuse me. Bad Monkey Magic. Airing on Monday, September 23rd, 2002. And in that episode, a mischievous monkey causes havoc in Mario Land. It takes a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of food, especially the bananas, and the monkey steals a whole bunch of other things, and eventually Mario and the gang call animal control on the monkey, and then the monkey gets taken back to the zoo. And as for the Sesame Street characters in this episode, let's have the Sesame Street characters be Big Bird, Telly Monster, Baby Bear, Elmo, and Grover. And the Elmo's World segment will start in the middle of the episode after a monkey takes all of the bananas. And Mario would say, "Oh no, the bananas are missing. What are we going to do? Think of something." And then we would have Elmo be like, "Don't worry, Mario. Elmo's got it all figured out. Elmo may get you more bananas. Hey, speaking of bananas, Elmo's got a great segment all about bananas over at Elmo's World." Then the scene would fade out. We get the same white background with red text. And then the Elmo's World segment will be the Bananas segment from Season 2, which was during Season 31 of Sesame Street, with the Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme. And in this episode of the Mario Show and other Mario Show episodes with the Bananas episode, as well as the online or Prime version of episode 4084, which I've watched, it uses special sound effects in the Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme made specifically for the Bananas episode. Which is not in the PBS broadcast of that episode. But it will be used on this Mario Show episode, Bad Monkey Magic. It also will have the blue background, the light blue background with Princess Rosalina, and the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident. And for the sponsors, let's have the sponsors in order be, for episode 2116, Bad Monkey Magic, be Chuck E. Cheese's Opening Door as the first sponsor, followed by SpaghettiOs A to Z's Pasta as the second sponsor. And then for the third sponsor, let's have it be Kellogg's Fruit Loops Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. All right. That was episode 2116, airing on Monday, September 23rd, 2002. Now we'll go to episode 2118, which is Elmo's Mario Land Sing-Along Party. It'll air on Wednesday, September 25th, 2002. And the premise of this episode will be like this. Elmo comes to Mario Land to get together to have a sing-along party with the Sesame Street gang and the Mario Show gang. And there's a whole bunch of Sesame Street characters that'll appear in this episode, such as Big Bird and Snuffy, the Count, Grover, Ernie and Bert, Cookie Monster, Harry Monster, Telly Monster, Baby Bear, Rosita, the Count. You get the picture here. And as for the Elmo's World segment, it will happen at the very end of the episode after the sing-along party is over. And then after Mario would say, "We hope that you will have a great day, and we hope that you will come back soon for more adventures with me, Mario." We would have Elmo say, "Okay, goodbye, but wait, the fun's not over yet. Elmo's got a very cool segment all about singing at Elmo's World." And then the scene would fade out. Of course, we would get the same white background with red text. And then the Elmo's World segment is all about singing. This is the very first episode of Season 2 of Elmo's World segments, which would be during Season 31 of Sesame Street. And as for when the Sesame Street episodes started first using them, the Bananas episode debuted on episode 3858, and singing premiered on episode 3851. All right. So, the Elmo's World segment in episode 2118 of the Mario Show, which is Elmo's Mario Land Sing-Along Party, is, of course, singing. The first Season 2 episode of the Elmo's World segments, which would start during Season 31 of Sesame Street. And this segment is about singing, is from Season 31 of Sesame Street originally. That's the segment appearing in the episode Elmo's Mario Land Sing-Along Party. It also has the red background with Mario, plus the 1999 PBS Kids ident. And let's say the sponsors in order start off like this, with Chuck E. Cheese's Laughing Kids as the first ad, the second ad being Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version, the third ad being SpaghettiOs, the original SpaghettiOs pasta commercial from 2001, used during late 2001 to early 2002 reruns of Season 32 of Sesame Street, along with Season 33 and Season 34 of Sesame Street as well. Except it'll be the Mario Show version of the ad. Then after that, we'll have Kellogg's Frosted Flakes cereal community center ad at the beginning, and Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal jungle ad at the end as the last sponsor. Now that's episode 2118. And now we get into episode 2123, which is Sleepover at Elmo's World. But it's only on the home video version. So Sleepover at Elmo's World, let's just say Mario and the gang are invited over to Elmo's World for a sleepover along with some fun and games. Bowser Jr. does not really like the sleepover because he misses sleeping in Mario Land. And only on the home video version would it contain the sleep segment from season 4, just like with episode 2106, which was Fred the Fish's Sleepy Day, except on Fred the Fish's Sleepy Day, that segment appeared on TV airings and on home video releases. But on episode 2123, the sleep segment only appears on the home video version only. Obviously, the same Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme, but this time, the background in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers is light blue with Princess Rosalina, and the PBS Kids Dash Transformation ident is used. That's pretty much the only difference between that and episode 2106. And as for the sponsors, Sleepover at Elmo's World starts off with Chuck E. Cheese's World of Fun as the first sponsor. Following that is Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Then SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta is the third sponsor. And then the last one is Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end. So, alright. As for the Sesame Street character, it's Elmo in that episode. Now we'll go into episode 2128, which is Bowling Day on Sesame Street. In this episode, Mario and the gang would travel to Sesame Street to go bowling, and there will be a bunch of Sesame Street characters in this episode. Big Bird and Snuffy, and the Count, and Baby Bear and Telly Monster, and Grover, and Ernie, and Bert, and Cookie Monster, and Elmo, and Rosita, and Zoe, to name but a few. And even the two-headed monster would appear in this episode. And for the Elmo's World segment, that will take place in the middle of the episode when there's a conflict going on when a bowling ball gets stuck in the bowling alley. And then Mario's like, "Oh no, my bowling ball is stuck. Think of something for the viewer to do." And then Elmo thinks of a solution and is like, "Don't worry, Mario. Elmo's got a great segment that will get you rolling, and you're guaranteed to have a ball with this one, folks." Anyway, So, that segment would take place in the middle of the episode. And it happens during the conflict of the episode where the bowling ball gets stuck. And I already explained the dialogue part. After that dialogue from Elmo, the scene would fade out. We get the white background with red text. And after that, the Elmo's World segment would start. And that Elmo's World segment that will appear in Bowling Day on Sesame Street is the very first Elmo's World segment that ever aired on Sesame Street, ever, which is the Balls segment from Season 1 during Season 30 of Sesame Street, which first aired on episode 3786. And of course, with the Season 1 intro and theme before the Balls segment starts. But it would have the edited Mario Show version from 2000, where it has added sound effects from the closet door when it opens and closes. Plus some added sound effects during the Balls song as well from the door. And again, added door sounds during the interview. And the color background used in this episode during the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, Bowling Day on Sesame Street, is the purple background with Bowser with the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident. And as for the sponsors, it'll start off with SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta is the first sponsor. Following that will be Libby's Juicy Juice, Mario Show version. Then Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad. And the episode would air on October 9th, 2002, which was the exact same day the Art for Season 7 episodes Francine's Split Decision and Muffy Goes Metropolitan aired. And also, episode 2123, that would air on October 2nd, 2002. And October 2nd and October 9th, they are Wednesdays in 2002. Next up, we'll go to episode 2130, which is Bowser Breaks Mario's Bicycle. In this episode, Mario decides to go for a bike ride. And let's just say in that episode, Bowser, out of fit and rage, breaks Mario's bicycle after losing in a video game. After that, Mario is so angry that he punishes Bowser. And the Sesame Street character that will appear in this episode is Big Bird. Now, the Elmo's World segment will take place in the middle of the episode, after Mario punishes Bowser. He's like, Bowser, are you kidding me? You broke my only bicycle. Now I will have to get it repaired. You are in so much trouble. And then Mario would turn to the viewer and says, hang on a second, folks. While I get my bike repaired, that you can go visit Elmo at the Elmo's World because Elmo's got the segment about bicycles that will get your wheels a-rolling. And then after that, it doesn't fade out instantly. Instead, after he says that announcement, Mario would say, and you will go back to your castle right now and think about what you have done. Then that's when the scene finally fades out. And then we get the white background with red text, and the Elmo's World segment that will appear is the bicycle segment from season 3, which was during season 32 of Sesame Street, which first aired on episode 3969. With the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. Just like in episode 2128, where the ball segment would have the season 1 intro and theme before it starts. The bicycle segment would have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts here. And it would have the green background with Luigi at the beginning and end of episode 2130 with the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end. And the bicycle segment would be the 2001 Mario Show version with added sound effects from the door in the bicycle's intro. And as for the sponsors for episode 2130, let's have that one start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad as the first sponsor. After that, Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Then SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor would be Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad from 2001 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end as the last sponsor. Episode would air on Friday, October 11th, 2002, which was the same day the Arthur episodes To Tibble the Truth and Waiting to Go have aired. Now for episode 2133, where Mario and Grover play Restaurant. In that episode, Mario and Grover decide to go out to a restaurant. And in that restaurant, before they go to the restaurant, they play waiter and customer. And the Sesame Street characters in this episode will be Grover, Mr. Johnson, Cookie Monster, and a silent cameo from Elmo. And the Elmo's World segment, that will take place in the middle of the episode, right after Bowser throws a hunger-induced tantrum saying, "Where's my food? I demand the food is served immediately." And then he's like, Grover's like, "You need to calm down. While we wait for some food to get served, why not you go to Elmo's World? Because Elmo's got a great segment that will fill your taste buds. It's very yummy and delicious." And then Cookie Monster's like, "Ooh, delicious. Me can hardly wait." And then the scene would fade out. We get the white background with red text. And the Elmo's World segment from Mario and Grover Play Restaurant is, of course, my absolute favorite segment of all time, the food segment from season 1 during season 30 of Sesame Street, which aired on episode 3816. And it will have the season 1 intro and theme before it starts. And the episode would air on Wednesday, October 16th, 2002. And the episode, Mario and Grover Play Restaurant, also would have the yellow background with Yoshi at the beginning and end, which means it has the 2002 PBS Kids fishbowl ident at the end. And as for the sponsors, we'll have Mario and Grover Play Restaurant start off with Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad. Then after that, go into Libby's Juicy Juice ad, seasons 20 to 21 Mario Show version. After that, Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Cereal Community Center ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta. Alright. Now we'll go into episode 2134, which is Bowser Jr. has trouble getting dressed. Now, in that episode, Bowser Jr. is having a very difficult time getting dressed. As for when the Elmo's World segment would start, it will start at the very beginning of the episode here. And the Sesame Street character that will appear in this episode is Elmo, Baby Bear, and Telly Monster. And let's just say before this segment starts, on episode 2134, where Bowser Jr. has trouble getting dressed, where Elmo would say, "Uh-oh! Looks like Bowser Jr. is still having trouble getting dressed. Well, let's not see the struggle, because Elmo's got a great segment to host while Bowser Jr. is still trying to get dressed. Speaking of which, that's exactly the topic that Elmo's going to be thinking about in Elmo's World. Elmo hopes you enjoy it." And in that episode, the Elmo's World segment is going to be about getting dressed, which is from season 4 during season 33 of Sesame Street. It would have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. Plus, it will have the red background with Mario and the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers with the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident at the end. And the sponsors in order for this episode, they will start off with SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta as the first sponsor. Then Chuck E. Cheese's opening door. Then after that, Kellogg's Fruit Loops Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Cereal Community Center ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Now we'll go to episode 2137, which is Computer Catastrophe. Oh, and before I tell you that episode 2134 aired on October 17th, 2002, and will be the last episode within Elmo's World segment to have the 2001 Columbia TriStar domestic television logo at the end. Alright, now we get into episode 2137, which is Computer Catastrophe. In that episode, there's some computer trouble in Mario Land, so they go over to Sesame Street to take it to the Fix-It shop with Maria and Luis. And as for Sesame Street Muppets that will appear in this episode, let's have it be Telly Monster, Grover, Baby Bear, Big Bird, and Snuffy. Now, the Elmo's World segment will take place in the middle, right after Telly is anxious about when the computer will finally get fixed. And then Grover is like, "You need to calm down. While we wait, Elmo's got a segment all about computers over at Elmo's World. The scene would then fade out. We get the white background with red text, and the Elmo's World segment is all about computers, which is the season 3 premiere of Elmo's World, which was during season 32 of Sesame Street, and that aired during episode 3916. And as for Getting Dressed, that segment premiered on episode 4010. Now, it'll have the computer segment. Computer Catastrophe will have the computer segment of Elmo's World with the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. Plus, it'll have the light blue background with Princess Rosalina and the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident. And as for the sponsors, let's have Computer Catastrophe start off with Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version, then Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad from 2001 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end as the second sponsor. The third sponsor is SpaghettiOs A to Z's pasta, and in the fourth is Chuck E. Cheese's opening door. And this episode, 2137, would be the very first episode of the Mario Show with the 2002 Sony Pictures Television logo at the end. And that was episode 2137. Now we get to episode 2138, which is Fred's Fishbowl Leaks. In that episode, Fred's fishbowl starts leaking. And as it leaks, Fred is afraid that he's going to possibly be a goner if he doesn't get any new water for the fishbowl if it keeps leaking. And the segment will play in the middle of the episode when Fred is frantically telling Mario in the game, like, Elmo, please think of something before my fishbowl really runs out of water after its leak. And then Elmo was like, now, Fred, calm down. Elmo's got a great segment all about pets over at Elmo's World that the viewer can watch while we try to fix Fred's problem with his fishbowl leaking. Watch this. And then the scene would fade out. We get the white background with red text. And then we would go to the Elmo's World segment, which is all about pets. And that's also from season 3 during season 32 of Sesame Street, airing on episode 3918 originally. And that would have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. And it will have the yellow background with Yoshi at both the beginning and the end. And it will have the 2002 PBS Kids fishbowl ident at the end, which makes sense for the plot because Fred's fishbowl leaks in the episode. And he's afraid that the fishbowl will keep leaking. Now, as for the sponsors for episode 2138, it will start off with, for the sponsors for episode 2138, where Fred's fishbowl leaks, that will start off with Libby's Juicy Juice ad, Mario Show version, then SpaghettiOs pasta commercial, the original version, as the second sponsor, then Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Cereal Community Center ad from 2002 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad from 2001 at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor will be Chuck E. Cheese's opening door. And the episode will air on Wednesday, October 23rd, 2002. Now we'll go into episode 2139, which is No Dogs Allowed. And the Sesame Street character for Fred's Fishbowl Weeks will be Elmo. And for episode 2139, No Dogs Allowed, the Sesame Street character will be Barkley, along with Big Bird, Telly Monster, Grover, Baby Bear, Ernie and Bert, and Elmo. And in that episode, a rude dog owner tells Barkley there's no dogs allowed at the park. In the middle of the episode, that's when the Elmo's World segment will happen, right in the middle. After the rude owner says, "How many times must I tell you no dogs allowed at the park?" And then Telly Monster calms Barkley down. And he's like, "Elmo thinks Barkley may need some cheering up. Here's an Elmo's World segment that Elmo hosted all about dogs. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this wonderful segment that Elmo will be telling about, all about dogs. You'll have a doggone good time with this, folks." The scene would then fade out. Then we get a white background with red text. And the Elmo's World segment would be all about dogs, which is the second segment from season 2 of Elmo's World during season 31 of Sesame Street, with the season 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. And as for the color background, that will have the red background with Mario in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, plus the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident, where Dot runs up to the screen. And as for the sponsors would be, let's see, it'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Laughing Kids ad. Then after that, the Libby's Juicy Juice ad, Mario Show version. Then the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad from 2001 at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta. After that is, of course, the funding credits. And as for the episode air date, it would air on Thursday, October 24th, 2002. And will be the first episode to have Luigi's voiceover in the Sesame Workshop and Columbia TriStar Television logos and Sony Pictures Television logos with an Elmo's World segment on it. Episode 2139, first episode with Elmo's World segment to have Luigi doing the announcement in the Sesame Workshop and Sony Pictures Television logos. And Luigi's also the one that announces the funding credits for season 21 as well. Now, the next episode is a very interesting episode to talk about. Episode 2140, which is the after-school Halloween dance. Now, this episode has a very interesting plot because Mario and the gang are excited to attend an after-school Halloween dance. Much to their surprise, not only do characters from Sesame Street come to the after-school Halloween dance, But characters from the Arthur TV series would also appear in the episode as well, also attending the Halloween dance, including Arthur, DW, Buster, Binky, Francine, Muffy the Brain, Sue Ellen, Prunella, Fern, George, and a bunch of other Arthur characters as well. And Mr. Ratburn would also mention that the centennial is only 1 week away, meaning that this episode would take place after 2 weeks after the events of Elwood City turns 100, which that Arthur episode aired on Monday, October 14th, 2002, and this Mario Show episode would air 11 days later on Friday, October 25th, 2002. And on top of all of that, the episode Elwood City Turns 100 has Mr. Ratburn say that the centennial will happen in 3 weeks. So that's exactly why this episode takes place 2 weeks after the events of Elwood City Turns 100. Episode 2140, that is. And as for the Sesame Street characters, I've mentioned the Arthur ones. For the Sesame Street characters, there's a whole lot of them. Big Bird, Snuffy, Oscar the Grouch, Ernie and Bert, Grover, Cookie Monster, Telly Monster, Baby Bear, Elmo, Zoe, Rosita, Prairie Dawn, and I'm also going to have the Count appear in the episode 2140 as well, which is the after-school Halloween dance. Two-Headed Monster, and more. Now, the Elmo's World segment, that will take place in the middle when the DJ machine breaks. And everyone gets so bored after the DJ machine breaks. And he's like, and then everyone, like, maybe Binky and Muffy react angrily with this, like, hey, who turned off the music? Why isn't the music playing anymore? And then Mr. Ratburn says, oh, the DJ machine is broken. And then we would have Buster panic and say, oh no, this is terrible. What are we going to do while we wait for the DJ machine to get fixed? And then Mr. Ratburn's like, everyone calm down. I'm sure we can think of something. Meanwhile, Arthur is dreading not to have Elmo's World happen. And saying, oh, please, 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 don't do Elmo's World, okay? That's all I ask. And then Elmo is like, Elmo knows just what to do with the viewer when the DJ machine is broken. And then Arthur is like, oh no. And then he's like, Elmo's got a great segment all about dancing in Elmo's World. And then the word Elmo's World echoes in Arthur's head and it's like, oh no, that's even worse than Mary Moo Cow. And then DW is like, hey, watch it, Arthur. He's like, that's what I was afraid of. I didn't want Elmo's World to happen in the first place, and now it's going to happen. And then Mr. Ratburn is like, it's okay, Arthur. After all, I'm sure this segment could be very educational. And then after that little bit of comedy, the scene would fade out. The white background with red text would appear. And the Elmo's World segment is about dancing, which is from Season 1 of Elmo's World during Season 30 of Sesame Street, which first premiered on episode 3801. And it would have the Season 1 intro and theme before the episode starts. Before the segment starts. And we all know that the Arthur episode, Elwood City Turns 100, had the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident at the end. Well, for the Mario Show episode, the After School Halloween Dance, this is what appears in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers. It's got the blue background, the light blue background with Princess Rosalina on it. And once that background is used, PBS Kids Dash Transformation ident appears afterwards. So yes, the After School Halloween Dance Mario Show episode, taking place 2 weeks after the events of Elwood City turns 100, also uses the 2000 PBS Kids Dash Transformation ident at the end, right after the season, right after the funding with the light blue background with Princess Rosalina. And as for the sponsors, we'll have the first sponsor be SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta. Then after that is Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad from 2001 at the end. And then after that, we'll have Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version be the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad. All right. Now we'll go into episode 2143. Mario and Luigi can't find their babies anywhere. The very last episode of the Mario Show with an Elmo's World segment produced during season 33 of Sesame Street. It would air on Wednesday, October 30th of 2002. In that episode, Mario and Luigi are searching desperately for their babies, Mario Jr. and Luigi Jr. respectively. And they are depressed when they can't find them. Bowser then spreads a rumor that robots have captured the babies. And the Sesame Street character that will appear in this episode is Elmo. It'll play right in the middle of the episode when Mario and Luigi are still looking for their babies and are upset when they can't find them. It's like, and then Elmo would cheer them up and would be like, "Don't worry, Mario. Elmo's sure that the babies will come back. Meanwhile, while we wait for them to come back, Elmo's got a great segment all about babies over at Elmo's World." The scene would then fade out. We would get the white background with red text, and the Elmo's World segment is all about babies, which is from season 2 during season 31 of Sesame Street. And that episode would also have the light blue background with Princess Rosalina and the 2000 PBS Kids Dash Transformation ident, just like the previous episode. It would also have the Season 2 to 5 intro and theme of Elmo's World before the segment starts here. Unlike on the After School Halloween Dance, which had the Season 1 intro and theme, Mario and Luigi Can't Find Their Babies Anywhere has the Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme. And as for the sponsors, we will start off with Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version, then Chuck E. Cheese's Laughing Kids ad, and then Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad from 2001 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is SpaghettiOs pasta commercial, the original. Now, this will be the last Mario Show episode with Elmo's World segments to take place during season 33 of Sesame Street, or to be produced during season 33 of Sesame Street that would air. All right. Next up, we'll go into an episode that has a very interesting quirk. A Journey to Elmo, which is the very first Mario Show episode from season 21 with an Elmo's World segment to be produced during season 34 of Sesame Street. It would air on Friday, November 15th, 2002. Let's say in that episode 2155, Journey to Elmo, before I explain that, Elmo's World Babies, that first appeared on episode 3854. And of Sesame Street, that is. And Mario and Luigi Can't Find Their Babies Anywhere is episode 2143. Now we get to episode 2155, which is Journey to Elmo. That will have the Elmo's World Games segment from season 3 on there. And the premise of the episode, let's say Ernie is very sick, so Big Bird asks somebody else to host Journey to Ernie. So, much to Big Bird's surprise, Elmo volunteers to help out with the Journey to Ernie game, but this time call it Journey to Elmo. They have fun with the game, and then they find that Elmo is hiding at Elmo's World, which is his favorite place. Now, this Elmo's World segment will be placed at the very end of the episode after the game ends. It's like, and then after Mario signs off, we will have Elmo say, "Hey, wait, don't go away. Elmo's got a great segment that will get you in the games, because it's all about games." Then the scene would fade out. We would go to the online local library promo before the segment starts. As a result of it appearing at the end, just like with episode 2118. And in the Elmo's World segment, which is about games from season 3, that will have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before the segment starts. What's interesting is that the background color changes at the beginning compared to the end. At the beginning, it'll have the pink background with Princess Peach at the beginning in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, but at the end, it has the green background with Luigi in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers. As a result, the end of the episode uses the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident, but it has the audio from the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident playing over it. Although you can hear a brief snippet of the 1999 Dash ident's audio after the dot transformation audio ends here. And as for the sponsors, that will start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Opening Door as the first sponsor, then Libby's Juicy Juice, Mario Show version, then SpaghettiOs Pasta Original ad as the third sponsor, and then the last sponsor is Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Cereal Community Center ad at the end. Now we'll go to episode 2156, which is Global Grover, which would be considered a pilot episode of what would become a Sesame Street segment in season 34. In that episode, Grover travels around the world. He decides to go to Africa. And in addition to Grover being the Sesame Street Muppet character, Elmo joins the fun in this episode too. So he travels with Grover in that episode. And they go to Africa to make great music. And like episode 2155, episode 2156 has Elmo's World placed at the end of the episode. And he's like, after Mario signs off, he's like, Elmo would then say, "Oh, wait, Elmo's got an idea. Don't go away just yet, because Elmo's got a special surprise at Elmo's World. He's going to be hosting a great musical segment all about music." The scene would then fade out. We go to the online local library promo, and then we get the white background with red text saying, "And now for an episode of Elmo's World." And I forgot to mention, Grover decides to travel to Africa because there's a snowstorm at Mario Land that will be coming to Sesame Street. So he decides to travel to a place to get out of the cold. And now for the Elmo's World segment for Global Grover, we'll have the music segment from season 1 during season 30 of Sesame Street. And the games segment on episode 2155. The Sesame Street episode that premiered it was episode 3967. And as for music, that segment premiered on episode 3824. And as for books, that premiered on episode 3817. Now, Global Grover will have the music segment from season 1 of Elmo's World, with the season 1 intro and theme before the segment starts. It's got the purple background with Bowser and the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident at the end. And the sponsors will be, it will start off with, let's see. It'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises as the first sponsor, then Libby's Juicy Juice is the second, with the Mario Show version of it, then SpaghettiOs. No, after Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad, there's Libby's Juicy Juice. For Global Grover, of course, the first sponsor that will be on the episode Global Grover will be Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad and Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Then Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the end as the second to last sponsor. And then the last sponsor is SpaghettiOs A to Z's Pasta. And as for the air dates, episode 2143, Mario and Luigi Can't Find Their Babies Anywhere, that would air on Wednesday, October 30th, 2002. Journey to Elmo would air on Friday, November 15th, 2002. And Global Grover, which is episode 2156, would air on Monday, November 18th, 2002. All right. Next up is episode 2160, which is Who Stole Luigi's Hat? In that episode, Luigi's hat gets stolen and they decide to find the culprit. At first they think it was Bowser that stole Luigi's hat, but Bowser says that he did not take it, and at first nobody believes Bowser, and then when they find out, Bowser actually was telling the truth the whole time because it was Oscar the Grouch that took Luigi's hat this time. And of course, Oscar the Grouch, he's the only Sesame Street character that would appear in this episode. And the Elmo's World segment will be played in the middle of the episode once they're trying to figure out who the culprit of the stolen hat is. And Mario suggests Don't worry, Luigi. Elmo just said that there's going to be an Endless World segment that he's gonna be a hosting, all about hats that you wear on your head. Don't miss it. And then the scene would fade out. The white background with red text would appear. And yeah. Then we get the Endless World segment, which is all about hats from season 1. But this is the very first time it contains an edited version of the hats episode that would also be used on the DVD and VHS release of Elmo's World, Head to Toe with Elmo, where it uses Dorothy's Imagination sound effects from season 2, playing over Dorothy's Imagination sequence in the hats episode here. But on Head to Toe with Elmo, it incorrectly used the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme of Elmo's World. That's not what happens on the Mario Show, though. On the Mario Show, despite the edited version of the Hats episode from Head to Toe with Elmo appearing, the Mario Show episode still keeps the original 1998 to 1999 theme song of Elmo's World intact from season 1. It's also got the green background with Luigi at the beginning and end, and a 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end. Now for the sponsors, we'll have Who Stole Luigi's Hat start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Laughing Kids ad as the first sponsor. After that, Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version, then SpaghettiOs 8 Disease Pasta is the third sponsor, and then the last sponsor is Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end. And the episode would air on Friday, November 22nd, 2002. Now, episode 2164, which is Bowser Jr.'s first Thanksgiving. In that episode, Bowser decides to make Bowser Jr.'s Thanksgiving very special. So he decides to take Bowser Jr. on a trip to Sesame Street for a Thanksgiving party, where everyone is excited about Thanksgiving food and stuff. And as for the Elmo's World segment, it will take place right in the middle of the episode, when they arrive at Sesame Street and are excitedly waiting for the Thanksgiving food, such as the turkey and the mashed potatoes. And Sesame Street characters that will appear in this episode, Elmo is one of them. We'll also have Big Bird and Snuffy. We'll have Grover, Harry Monster, Cookie Monster, the Count. We'll also have Ernie and Bert. We'll have Telly Monster. We'll have Baby Bear. We'll have Zoe. We'll have Rosita. We'll have the Two-Headed Monster. And I think the Count will also appear in Elmo's Mario Land Sing-Along Party and Bowling Day on Sesame Street, respectively. If I forgot to include the Count, I'll include him in these episodes as well. So, anyway, Elmo would teach Bowser Jr. what Thanksgiving is really about, in that it's not just about the food, but it's all about how they get together as a family. Which leads to Elmo saying, "Speaking of which, Elmo's got a great segment all about families, and it shows how everyone gets together to celebrate a very important holiday like Thanksgiving. And while this segment is not necessarily about Thanksgiving. It's all about families and how they get together. And Thanksgiving is one of Elmo's favorite holidays and one of Mr. Noodle's favorite holidays as well. So everyone, including Mr. Noodle, loves to get together as a family. So here's a perfect Elmo's Road segment all about families. And then the scene would fade out. We get the white background with red text. And this would be the very first time the Mario show would ever show the family segment of Elmo's World on there. Yes, it appeared on Sesame Street in season 32, back in episode 3975. And as for hats, that first appeared on episode 3796 of Sesame Street, of course, during season 30. But families, while it first appeared on Sesame Street episode 3785, which was one of the last few episodes of season 32, it would not appear on the Mario show until this specific episode, 2164, on Thanksgiving Day of 2002. So, like books, families is another Elmo's World segment pushed back to this season. But unlike books, which used the season 1 intro and theme before it started, families, being from season 3, contains the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme. So, it contains the family segment from season 3 that was during season 32 of Sesame Street on there. Plus, it'll have the purple background with Bowser at both the beginning and the end, and 2002 PBS Kids snow globe ident at the end. And yes, it will snow in some parts of the episode. And as for the sponsors, it will start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Laughing Kids ad. Following that will be Kellogg's Fruit Loops Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end. Then SpaghettiOs plus Calcium Pasta as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor will be Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. And the episode does air on Thanksgiving Day, November 28, 2002, which is a Thursday. Next up, we'll move right on to episode 2168. Now, this is a very interesting episode. Episode 2168 is called The Listening Game, and it will air on Wednesday, December 4th, 2002. In this episode, Mario and the gang travel to Elmo's world to play a very fun listening game, which is listen to all the sounds coming inside Elmo's closet door. And so they have to listen and guess what sounds are coming from the door. One of the sounds is the sound of a thunderstorm. Another is the sound of a marching band. And the Elmo's World segment will appear at the very end of the episode in this episode, 2168. After the listening game is over. And then after Mario signs off, Elmo would say, "Don't go away yet, folks. Elmo has got a very brand new segment that no one has ever talked about before on Elmo's World. And it's guaranteed to get your listening ears on." And then the scene would fade out. We'd go to the online and local library promo, and then we get the white background with red text saying, "And now for an episode of Elmo's World." Now, this episode, The Listening Game, episode 2168, this would be the very first time a brand new segment of Elmo's World is shown. And that segment is none other than the Ears segment of Elmo's World from Season 5. Now, this is one of the 2 Season 5 segments that will be shown in Season 21 of the Mario Show. The rest of the Season 5 segments wouldn't be shown until Season 22. But this, Ears, is one of the Elmo's World segments from Season 5 to appear in Season 21. As such, it would appear on the Mario Show first. The Ears segment would appear on the Mario Show first on December 4th, 2002, before airing on Sesame Street on April 8th, 2003, with the second episode of Season 34, which is episode 4032, which is specifically the episode where Elmo falls in love with Gina. Not to mention, the marching band that appeared earlier in the episode The Listening Game also appears in one scene in the Ears segment. And then it makes sense to include here on the Mario Show first, because it's got Michael Jeter as Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle, in this segment. And he also appeared in segments from Seasons 2 to 4 as well. And Ears was one of the last segments that had Michael Jeter as Mr. Noodle, Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle, obviously, before his passing in 2003 on March 30th. So, it makes sense to include here on this episode of the Mario Show first. And as for the intro and theme, obviously, the Ears segment of Elmo's World will still use the Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme from 2000 to 2003, as it wouldn't be until the next season when the late 2003 to 2009 intro is used. When Season 6 would be the first season to use, of Elmo's World, obviously, to use that theme. Season 6 would be the first season of Elmo's World with the late 2003 2000 to 2009 intro and theme. But Season 21 would obviously only contain episodes from Seasons 1 through 4 for the most part, with 2 Season 5 episodes that aired ahead of its time. So as such, it would only use the Season 1 intro and theme or the Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme, depending on what season the segment is from. Seasons 1 through 5. And as for the PBS Kids ident and color background that will appear in episode 2168, it's got the light blue background. The Listening Game has the light blue background with Princess Rosalina on it with the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident. And as for the sponsors, the Listening Game will start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad, and then it'll go into the Libby's Juicy Juice ad, Mario Show version, then the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the beginning, or the Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor would be SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta. So that's episode 2168. Now we go to episode 2170, which is Mario's skiing lesson, which would, of course, air on Friday, December 6th, 2002. And in this segment, a very, very intense snowstorm comes to Mario Land. So a meteorologist warns everyone in Mario Land to be extremely careful because there's supposed to be a band of heavy snow sweeping across Mario Land. So, and he also warns them that if they really want to go skiing if they want to go skiing, then they had better come prepared for skiing gear such as a helmet, goggles, mittens, or gloves, a scarf, a ski mask, snow pants, and especially a jacket. These are the things you must wear in intense weather when it snows so heavily. That's what the meteorologist says in this episode. Meanwhile, Mario's excited for a skiing lesson, but he completely forgets to put a jacket on, which makes him so scared that he'll freeze. But Luigi comes up with a solution to get a jacket for Mario. And as for the Elmo's World segment, it will appear at the very beginning of the episode. And the Sesame Street character that will appear in this episode is Grover. And let's just say at the beginning of the episode, Mario panics because he completely forgets to get his jacket on. And then Grover is like, "Not to worry, Mario." While Luigi gives you a jacket to prepare for your skiing lesson, I, Grover, just want to let you know that Elmo told me to tell you that he is hosting a segment on Elmo's World about something that is very cozy and warm and very soft. It'll be all about jackets, something you must wear in intense snowy weather. The scene would then fade out. We would get the white background with red text. And then the Elmo's World segment would start. And Mario's skiing lesson will actually feature the jacket segment from season 1, which was during season 30 of Sesame Street. And that first appeared on episode 3806. But it contains an edited version that would also be used on Head to Toe with Elmo in this episode. But what's different is that the season 1 intro and theme will be used in this episode of the Mario Show, unlike on Head to Toe with Elmo, which used the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme for an odd reason. The Mario Show episode containing the edited version of the Jackets episode will still use the season 1 intro and theme despite that edit. And by the edit, it's Dorothy's imagination sound effects from season 2 playing over the imagination portion when the thought bubble starts appearing on her. So the Jackets episode makes perfect sense here. It also has the purple background with Bowser with the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, which also makes sense because it requires snow to go skiing. And as for the sponsors, let's have it start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad, then Libby's Juicy Juice ad, season 6 to 8 version. No, seasons 20 to 21 Mario Show version, excuse me. And then after that, Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last one is the original SpaghettiOs pasta ad. All right. Next up, we will go right into the episode Merry Christmas, Rosalina, episode 2175. Now, this is a very interesting episode to talk about. Because let's just say in this episode, Rosalina really would like to get a pet for Christmas. A pet that swims. So, they go to the pet store to try to find a type of fish that Rosalina would like. And specifically, she's looking for a goldfish for Christmas. Eventually, once Christmas comes, or once Christmas hits Mario Land, Mario and the gang surprise Rosalina with a brand new goldfish that she names Dash, named after the boy mascot of PBS Kids. So anyway, she receives a goldfish in a fishbowl for Christmas. And the goldfish's name is Dash. And he shows the goldfish to Fred the fish. She shows the goldfish to Fred the fish. And as for the Sesame Street characters that'll appear in this episode, it's Big Bird and Snuffy, the Count, Grover, Cookie Monster, Harry Monster, Telly Monster, Baby Bear, and Elmo. Elmo is especially impressed that Rosalina now has a goldfish just like Elmo does. However, once Rosalina gets the goldfish, she is very concerned that the fishbowl does not have enough water. And she thinks it could use more of the water. Then Elmo is like, why didn't Elmo think of that before? Water is very important for a goldfish. Hey, Elmo's got a surprise at the very end just for you, just for the viewer. And then at the very end of the episode, after Mario signs off, Elmo would say, speaking of water, Elmo's got a perfect segment in Elmo's World all about water and why it's very important, especially for goldfish. Then the scene would fade out, we get the online and local library promo, and then we get the white background with red text. And Merry Christmas, Rosalina will have the Elmo's World segment be the water segment from Season 1 during Season 30 of Sesame Street, which first aired on episode 3831. And it'll have the Season 1 intro and theme before the segment starts. And as for the sponsors, before we get into that, the Elmo's World Water segment, it does not have the full ending in this episode. Now, as for the sponsors, it'll start off with Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Following that is Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end as the second sponsor. The third one being SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta. And the fourth being Chuck E. Cheese's opening door. The fourth and last being Chuck E. Cheese's opening door. It's got the yellow background with Yoshi at the beginning, but it's got the purple background with Bowser at the end. So as a result, it uses a 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, but it's got the audio from the Fishbowl ident playing over it. If it has one color background at the beginning but a different color background at the end, the PBS Kids ident that would be used at the end of the episode that would follow that background would have the audio from another ident that would usually follow another background. In other words, the Snow Globe ident uses the Fishbowl ident's audio. If the purple background was used at both times, the Snow Globe ident would use the correct audio, but if the yellow background was used at the end of both times, it would use the Fishbowl ident at the end with the correct audio. But because of the quirk, with the yellow background at the beginning and the purple one at the end, the Snow Globe ident would use the Fishbowl ident's audio in this episode. And as for the air dates, Merry Christmas Rosalina would air on Friday, December 13th, 2002. And as for Mario's skiing lesson, that would air a week earlier on December 6th, 2002. Next up, we'll go into episode 2178, which is Bowser the Train Robber, which would air on Wednesday, December 18th, 2002. In this episode, Bowser, along with Terry the Tiger, decide to rob a train at Sesame Street. And the Sesame Street character that appears in this episode is Oscar the Grouch. So Bowser, along with Oscar the Grouch, decide to rob the train together. And they get in big trouble by Gordon and Maria and Luis. Then Bowser, along with Oscar the Grouch, would get arrested by Muppet Police for committing a terrible crime of robbing a train. The Elmo's World segment will appear in the middle of the episode once they find out the news that Bowser robbed the train. And yes, Kermit the Frog will appear in this episode as well as the Mario Land News Frog. And another Sesame Street character that will appear in this episode is Grover. So let's say Grover finds out that Oscar has robbed a train with Bowser. And then Mario's like, but a train! That's a very important part of transportation! And then Grover would say, Elmo has told me that he wanted to say he has a very special segment all about transportation at Elmo's World. Then the scene would fade out. We get the white text. We get the white background with red text. And the Elmo's World segment will be the transportation segment, which is the last segment from season 1 during season 30 of Sesame Street. It's the last segment that aired on Sesame Street during season 30, airing on episode 3840. And the transportation segment will have the season 1 intro and theme before it starts. And then let's say it's a 2001 Mario Show edited version, because even though it premiered on Sesame Street in April of 1999 during season 30, it would not be until season 20 of the Mario Show when it was finally used on the Mario Show, and it contains an edited version with extra sound effects from the door when it opens and closes in the intro, as well as during the interview. So, the color background used in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers for Bowser the Train Robber would be the pink background with Princess Peach at both the beginning and the end, with the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident on it. Because Terry the Tiger is one of the main antagonists of Mario Land in this episode, along with Bowser, along with Sesame Street character Oscar the Grouch, who all rob the train together. And as for the sponsors, it'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad, followed by Libby's Juicy Juice ad, Mario Show version, then Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end as the third sponsor. Following that will be SpaghettiOs A to Z's Pasta as the last sponsor. Now we go to episode 2181, which is Toad's new pair of shoes, airing on Monday, December 23rd, 2002. In it, Toad is so frustrated that his shoes would not fit. So Mario takes Toad to Sesame Street to go to a shoe store. And little do you know, Grover happens to be the Muppet running the shoe store. And he is the Sesame Street Muppet that appears in this episode, too. And, in the middle of the episode, that's when the Elmo's World segment will happen. And it happens right when Toad is anxiously waiting for his new pair of shoes. He's like, Toad is wondering when they will get there, and then Grover's like, not to worry, Toad. While we wait for your new pair of shoes, I just got off the phone with Elmo, and he told me that he's going to make a segment, that he has made a segment all about shoes over at Elmo's World. Then the scene would fade out, we get the white background with red text, and the Elmo's World segment would, of course, be shoes from season 1 during season 30 of Sesame Street. This is the last season 21 episode of the Mario Show with a season 1 segment of Elmo's World on there. And of course, it would use the season 1 intro and theme before it starts. And it also contains an edited version of Shoes that would be used on the VHS and DVD of Head to Toe with Elmo, released on January 14th, 2003. But unlike Head to Toe with Elmo, which used the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme, this Mario Show episode that contains the edited version would replace it with the correct season 1 intro and theme. It would also have the red background with Mario at both the beginning and the end, and the viewers like you and thank you disclaimers, with the 1999 PBS Kids ident. And as for the sponsors, it'll start off with Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version, then Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes cereal Community Center ad from 2002 at the very end as the second sponsor. The third would be SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta, and in the fourth would be Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad. Now, this is one of the only episodes with the red background with Mario to use the 1999, to use a season 1 episode of Elmo's World on there, with the season 1 intro and theme. The other episodes with the red background for this season had used the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme, but this would be the first and only episode of season 21 with a season 1 episode to use the red background. Just like with Bowser Jr.'s First Thanksgiving being the only episode with the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme to use the purple background with Bowser, as the others would have used the season 1 intro and theme. Here's something to clarify here. Season 21 of the Mario Show would be the only season of the Mario Show to air all 10 Elmo's World segments from season 1. That's because when season 33 of Sesame Street began, they completely missed out an opportunity to include any of the season 1 segments of Elmo's World during season 33 of Sesame Street, and they only included Elmo's World segments from seasons 2 to 4 in season 33 of Sesame Street. They completely tossed the season 1 episodes of Elmo's World off the window in season 33, which is kind of inconsistent. They were last used in season 32 and were not used again until 2003 during season 34. It doesn't make any logical sense why they would skip out on any of the season 1 episode segments in 2002. So that's why season 21 of the Mario Show would air all 10 of the season 1 Elmo's World segments from September to December of 2002 to make up for what Sesame Workshop has completely lost in season 33. Yes, the Mario Show season 21 does air seasons 2 to 4 segments, just like season 33, plus a few season 5 segments that aired ahead of its time, 2 of them. But at least season 21 would include all 10 season 1 segments as well. So season 21 would air all 10 season 1 segments, 7 season 2 segments, 6 season 3 segments, 6 season 4 segments, or technically 5 season 4 segments and 2 season 5 segments, unless you count one segment appearing on home video first, which would make it season 4. Either way, with a couple of segments from season 5 airing ahead of its time and some seasons 2 to 4 segments, at least season 21 would include all 10 season 1 segments of Elmo's World in addition, to make up for what Sesame Workshop has completely lost for season 33 and in 2002 in general. And that's why all the season 21 segments with Elmo's World episodes from season 1 would air from September to December 2002 to make up for what was lost for an entire year. Alright, next up, episode 2185, which is Bert's Pigeon Flies Away. And that contains the Sesame Street characters Bert and Ernie, and Elmo will also appear in the episode, as well as Big Bird. So these 4 characters will appear in that episode. In it, Bert is very, very depressed because his favorite pigeon, Bernice, just flew away when he just wanted to say hi to Bernice and show him around Mario Land. Eventually, they go to Sesame Street and they still cannot find Bernice, and Bert breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably because he wants Bernice to come back. Ernie, he's usually the trickster in Sesame Street, but in this episode, he is actually very supportive of Bert, and he cares very deeply about Bert, and he takes Bert on a scavenger hunt mission to see if they can possibly find Bernice. And the Elmo's World segment will be placed in the middle, and Bert is going to be like, oh, what am I going to do? I miss Bernice very, very much. Think of something, Elmo. And then Elmo's like, don't be sad, Bert. Elmo's got a great segment in Elmo's World all about birds, and they include pigeons like Bernice in this segment. And then Bert is like, really, Elmo? You think that might make me feel better? And then Elmo would be like, absolutely, because Elmo knows how much you care about Bernice, and she's your favorite pigeon. And then he's like, well, if it makes me feel any better, I guess you could give it a try, Elmo. And then Elmo was like, okay, without further ado, here's the Elmo's Road segment all about birds. Then the scene would fade out. We get the white background with red text. And this would be the very first time the Mario show would first use the bird segment of Elmo's World. Yes, it appeared on Sesame Street in season 32 back in 2001. Back in episode 3945. But this would be the first time the Mario show uses the bird segment. In this episode, airing on Friday, December 27th, 2002. This would be the last episode with an Elmo's World segment to air on the Mario show in 2002. And as for the shoe segment, that first premiered on the Sesame Street episode 3791 during season 30 of Sesame Street. And so Bert's Pigeon Flies Away, that contains the bird segment from season 3 of Elmo's World, airing for the very first time on the Mario show this season. Just like Families and Books, this was another segment that was pushed back. Birds was another segment that was pushed back to this season. And it would also use the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme because it's a season 3 segment, just like Families. In addition, the color background used here is the red background with Mario with the 1999 PBS Kids ident. Now, for the sponsors in order, it's going to start off with Kellogg's Fruit Loops cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad from 2002 at the end as the first sponsor. Following that will be Libby's Juicy Juice, Mario Show version. Then Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad. And then last but not least, SpaghettiOs A to Z's pasta. as the last sponsor. In addition, it has the red background with Mario and 1999 PBS Kids ident, like I mentioned earlier, just like the previous episode. Alright. Next up is episode 2190, which is Telly accidentally lets go of his balloon. Now, this is a very interesting episode because before we get into that, I'm going to explain the premise of it. So, Telly Monster gets a balloon for his birthday because it's his birthday. So, they travel to Sesame Street to celebrate Telly Monster's birthday. While he's celebrating it, he accidentally lets go of the balloon, which makes Telly Monster go full-on depressed. He breaks down, sobbing hysterically, because his balloon he accidentally let go, and he would like to get a brand new one to feel much better. Now, the Sesame Street characters that will appear in this episode, besides Telly Monster, of course, would be Baby Bear and Elmo. And like the previous episode, Elmo offers Telly Monster something to cheer Telly Monster up, just like Elmo did with Bert in the previous episode. So, this would be the second episode in a row where Elmo tries to cheer a character up with an Elmo's World segment, and this happens in the middle. It's like, Telly, what's the matter? And then Telly Monster would be like, oh, my balloon has flown all the way up to the sky. I didn't mean to let go of it, but it just flew up in the sky, and I accidentally let go of it. And then Telly Monster, after Telly Monster is like that, Elmo would be like, well, if it makes you feel any better, Elmo's got something to cheer you up. And then Telly Monster's like, really, Elmo? And then Elmo is like, absolutely, Telly. In fact, Elmo's got a great segment in Elmo's World, just waiting for you. And then he's like, oh, really? If it will make me feel any better, because my balloon has flown all the way up into the sky. And then Elmo was like, yes, that's exactly what Elmo's going to be thinking about in Elmo's World. So without further ado, here's Elmo's World, Sky. Elmo hopes this makes Telly feel better about the lost balloon that flew up there. And then Telly hopes, saying, hopefully this makes me feel better. And then Elmo was like, oh, it will, Telly, it will. Elmo will even get you another balloon. He's like, and then Telly is like, thanks, Elmo. And then Elmo would be like, you're welcome, Telly. So here's the Elmo's World segment where Elmo thinks about the sky. Hope you enjoy it. Then the scene would fade out. We get the white background with red text. And this would be the very first time the sky segment of Elmo's World appears here. It's from season 33 of Sesame Street, which originally aired on episode 3982 in February 2002, back on February 5th. But this episode would air on Friday, January 3rd, 2003, and this would be the first time they showed that Elmo's World segment about the sky on the Mario show. Now, it makes perfect sense here because despite being held back to this season, it actually fits the timeline more, because season 33 was currently rerunning when season 21 of the Mario Show began, and when season 21 of the Mario Show concluded. Season 33 was still the current season of Sesame Street rerunning on PBS at the time. So yes, it will be the first episode to use the Sky segment of Elmo's World from season 4. The first episode of the Mario Show to feature the Sky segment from season 4 during season 33 of Sesame Street. With the season's 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. And it's got the pink background with Peach in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers in the episode Telly accidentally lets go of his balloon, with the 2000 PBS Kids Dot transformation ident. And that makes perfect sense here as well, because Dot imagines herself as an astronaut in her last transformation, and astronauts go up into the sky. Now, as for the sponsors in this episode, it'll start off with Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version, then Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end as the second sponsor. The third sponsor, of course, being SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta, and then the last sponsor being Chuck E. Cheese's Exercises ad. Now, this is the last Mario Show's episode from season 21, where the Elmo's World segment takes place in the middle. Alright, we have 4 more to talk about. Episode 2192, Fred the Fish and Dash meet Elmo's pet goldfish Dorothy, which is episode 2100... No. Episode 2192, Tornado Warning in Mario Land. In this episode, a meteorologist warns the residents of Mario Land that a tornado is coming. Although it does not take place at Sesame Street, Telemonster appears in this segment. And he's like, "You gotta get out of Mario Land fast! There's a tornado approaching your area! Get out of there!" And then we have Mario be like, "A tornado in Mario Land? Oh no!" And he's like, "Well, I heard from Elmo that he is hosting a segment all about the weather. So you don't have to see the disaster of the tornado hitting Mario Land because it might be too scary for you. So here's something much more calming where Elmo talks about the weather at Elmo's World." Then the scene would fade out. The segment will take place at the very beginning of the episode. And we would get the red background. We get the white background with red text, obviously. And the Elmo's World segment will be the weather segment from season 4, with the season's 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. And it will have the red background with Mario and the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers with the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident. And as for the sponsors in order, it'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad, and then after that, the Libby's Juicy Juice ads, which is the Mario Show version, then SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta as the third sponsor, and then the last sponsor being Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end. Now we go into the air date, January 7th, 2003, which was 3 months before season 34 of Sesame Street premiered, but season 33 was still rerunning at this time this episode aired. Alright. Next up, episode 2197, which is Fred the Fish and Dash meet Elmo's pet goldfish, Dorothy. Now, this episode takes place at Elmo's world, where Fred the Fish and Rosalina's goldfish, Dash, they decide to take a trip to Elmo's world to visit Elmo's pet goldfish, Dorothy. Now, the last three episodes have the Elmo's World segment take place at the very end. After Mario signs off at the end of the episode, Fred the Fish and Dash meet Elmo's pet goldfish, Dorothy, we would have Elmo say, "Hey, wait! Elmo's got a perfect segment just for you because you just went you just went to Elmo's world to meet Elmo's pet goldfish, Dorothy. Elmo's got this perfect segment that's guaranteed to get you all excited about fish. So without further ado, here's the fish segment." And then we get the online local library promo. Then we get the white background with red texts saying Elmo's World is coming. And this would be the very first episode of the Mario show to feature the fish segment of Elmo's World. And this episode would air on January 14th, 2003, which is a Tuesday, just like episode 2192 aired on January 7th, 2003, which was also a Tuesday. Now, January 14th, 2003, that was actually the exact same day Elmo's World Head to Toe with Elmo came out on VHS and DVD, along with the Arthur releases, Arthur's Snow Day and Arthur's Family Fun on VHS and DVD, and the DVD versions of Arthur Goes to Hollywood and Arthur's Famous Friends. Now, Fred the Fish and Dash meet Elmo's pet goldfish, Dorothy, will be the very first episode of the Mario show to feature the fish segment of Elmo's World, which is from Season 4 during Season 33 of Sesame Street. In fact, it was the first Elmo's World segment from Season 4 to air during Season 33 on February 4th of 2002. But it wouldn't be until this episode of the Mario show on January 14th, 2003 when it finally shows up on the Mario show, the fish segment. And it makes perfect sense here to include here because Season 33 was still rerunning at the time on January 14th, 2003. Despite it being slightly pushed back. Second to last episode we'll cover, but before we get into that, the fish segment uses the Seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme before it starts. It also will have the yellow background with Yoshi at both the beginning and the end. And fittingly enough, the 2002 PBS Kids fishbowl ident is used at the end of this episode. Now, as for the sponsors, it'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's opening door, and then Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end as the second sponsor. The third would be SpaghettiOs A to Z's pasta, and then the last one is Libby's Juicy Juice Mario Show version. Alright, second to last episode we'll cover is episode 2198. The New York City firefighters fixed a smoke detector. In it, they go to Sesame Street for an urgent warning. The smoke detector is not working. As for the Sesame Street character in Fred the Fish and Dash meet Elmo's pet goldfish, Dorothy, it's obviously just Elmo. But for the Mario Show episode, New York City firefighters fixed a smoke detector, it'll not just feature Elmo, but it will also feature Telly Monster and Baby Bear and Cookie Monster and Grover. And Big Bird and Snuffy will also appear in that episode. And Oscar the Grouch. So, here's the premise for New York City firefighters fix the smoke detector. They go to Sesame Street because they have a big problem and they need the Mario Land residents to go to Sesame Street right away to fix the problem. They find out that the smoke detector is not working. And the New York City firefighters, yes, the exact same ones from episode 3981, where Elmo visits the firehouse, the same firefighters from that Sesame Street episode would appear again in this episode of the Mario Show, where the New York City firefighters fixed a smoke detector. And even firefighter Richard from the Elmo's World Firefighter segment will also appear in this episode, also fixing the smoke detector. So, at the end of the episode, once the smoke detectors are all fixed, everyone thanks the firefighters, and Mario, after Mario does his sign off, Elmo would say, "Thank you very much, firefighters. Hey, don't go away. Elmo's got a segment all about all the firefighters that worked very hard to fix the smoke detector. And this is also for you, firefighter Richard, because you're in it too." And then firefighter Richard is like, "I am?" And then Elmo was like, "Yes, Elmo even interviewed you. Elmo even interviewed you when Elmo talked about firefighters. So here it is." So Elmo would literally break the fourth wall saying that to firefighter Richard. And then we get the online local library promo. Since it takes place at the end of the episode, then we get the white background with red text. And then it will be the very first time the Mario Show shows the Firefighters episode. Now, here's an interesting story. The Firefighters segment was first used on the home video Elmo Visits the Firehouse when it was released on September 3rd, 2002 on DVD and VHS by Sony Wonder, which was when season 33 was still rerunning. It also contains street scenes from the season 33 premiere in it too. And then it would air on the Mario Show on January 15th, 2003, which is a Wednesday. And then it would finally air on Sesame Street on TV 3 months later on April 15th, 2003 for episode 4037. And the street scenes from the season 33 premiere are also shown on the TV broadcast of episode 3981, which is where Elmo visits the firehouse, but with the fish segment instead of the firefighter segment that is shown on the home video version. So, this is another Elmo's World segment that would air ahead of its time on the Mario Show before airing on Sesame Street, after being released on home video. But unlike Ears, which only aired on the Mario Show first, before airing on Sesame Street, Firefighters would be released on home video on Elmo Visits the Firehouse first, then it would air on the Mario Show, and then finally would air on Sesame Street. So this is the only other segment from Season 5, or Season 4 if you count it being released on home video first. It would be the only other segment that would air during Season 34 of Sesame Street. That would be from Season 21 that would air in Season 21 of the Mario Show instead of Season 22. Firefighters and Ears are the only segments that aired on Season 34 of Sesame Street to air on Season 21 of the Mario Show. So, without further ado, the Elmo's World segment is the Firefighters one in this episode, where New York City firefighters fixed a smoke detector. And it is an edited version of the firefighters episode of Elmo's World, which adds the door closing sound effects after the kids and baby portion when the firefighters appear before Elmo says, "Whoa, they must be going to put out a fire," which the closing sounds were actually omitted in the Sesame Street broadcast of the episode and on Elmo Visits the Firehouse, but the closing sound effects will be used in the Mario Show broadcast of the episode. And again, in the Mario Show edited version, it adds the door opening and closing sound effects when firefighter Richard leaves the scene before the firefighters song at the end of the firefighters episode on Mario Show broadcasts. And it will have the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme here. Because again, I said this before, and this is the last time I'm saying this, it was way before season 6 of Elmo's World began production. Because, as I've already said, it would not be until season 6 when they used the season 6 to 10 intro and theme. And season 21 would not have that version because that version did not even exist yet at the time. So season 21 only uses either the season 1 intro or seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme for those segments. It also, New York City firefighters fixed a smoke detector would also use the green background with Luigi at the beginning and end with the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end. And as for the sponsors, it'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad, and then Libby's Juicy Juice ad, Mario Show version, and then SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta, and then the last sponsor would be Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the end. It would air on Wednesday, January 15th, 2003, as I've stated before. Now, this last episode, episode 2199, Mario helps a lost pig find its home. The Sesame Street character that will appear in this episode, or characters that will appear in this episode, are Grover and Elmo. And in this episode, and Old MacDonald from the farm segment of Elmo's World will also appear in this episode of Elmo, in this episode of the Mario Show. Old MacDonald from the farm's segment of Elmo's World will also appear in this Mario Show episode. So, in that Mario Show episode, a pig wanders off and runs away. And Old MacDonald is desperate to get the pig back, with help from Elmo and Grover, of course. Grover even gets into his superhero costume, turns into Super Grover, to get the pig back safely into the barn. And when the pig runs off, Old MacDonald starts sobbing uncontrollably because he misses his pig. And for some reason, Old MacDonald has a Scottish accent in the farm segment. That's also what happens in this Mario Show episode, because Joey Mazzarino would also voice Old MacDonald in that Mario Show episode, just like he did in the Elmo's World segment. And this Elmo's World segment will appear at the very end of the episode after Mario signs off, and then Elmo's like, "Hey, since we helped get a pig back on the barn, Elmo's got a great segment all about animals that live in a barn, which is also known as a farm." And then Elmo would say, "All right, farm animals, get ready because Elmo's got a special segment just for you, all about farms." Then the scene would fade out. We get the online local library promo, and then the white background with red text would appear. And the Elmo's World segment in this episode will be the farm segment from season 2 during season 31 of Sesame Street. And this is actually NMRKP 2003's favorite Elmo's World episode. Because as you all know, my favorite is food, her favorite is farms. And I can get that it's her absolute favorite. That's not to say I don't enjoy it. I also like that episode too. I also really enjoyed the farm segment as well. And that segment first appeared on Sesame Street in episode 3879. And as for Firefighters, that first appeared on episode 4037, obviously. And since Firefighters is since Farms is a season 2 segment, which aired during season 31 of Sesame Street, it would use the seasons 2 to 5 intro and theme, which the sound effects are a little bit out of sync in the Elmo's World intro and theme in the Farms segment here. I recreated that error in that Mario Show episode, but unlike the Sesame Street episodes, Elmo's laugh is completely absent as the window shade closes. In addition, episode 2199, where Mario helps a lost pig find its home, will use the red background with Mario and the 1999 PBS Kids ident. The red background and the viewers like you and thank you disclaimers with Mario and 1999 PBS Kids ident at the end. And as for the sponsors, it'll start off with Chuck E. Cheese's Laughing Kids ad. Then afterwards, we'll get into Libby's Juicy Juice, Mario Show version. Then Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Community Center ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the end as the third sponsor. And then the last sponsor is the original SpaghettiOs Pasta ad. And just one more thing to note, by the way. Episode 2199, where Mario helps a lost pig find its home, would air on Thursday, January 16th, 2003. It's the second to last episode of season 21. The last episode being 2200, which does not have an Elmo's World segment on it. And there's also some episodes of the Mario Show that take place at Elmo's World, but do not have an Elmo's World segment, such as episode 2132, which is Stuck at Elmo's World, and episode 2145, which is the episode where Bowser makes fun of Mr. Noodle's sister, Miss Noodle, played by Kristen Chenoweth. And in that episode, Bill Irwin, Michael Jeter, and Kristen Chenoweth, all three of them would appear together, much like Elmo's World Happy Holidays and Elmo's World Wild Wild West. Speaking of which, in episode 2145, Elmo would say, "Elmo just finished making a Happy Holiday special, and now you have the audacity to make fun of Mr. Noodle's sister, Miss Noodle? You've got some nerve, Bowser!" Alright, that pretty much covers every single episode of the Mario Show from season 21 with bonus Elmo's World segments on them. Unfortunately, None of the Mario Show episodes with Elmo's World segments from season 21 featured the orange background with Princess Daisy with the 1999 PBS Kids live-action Kids Station ident. But season 21 does have the orange background on some episodes, but none of them with Elmo's World segments have them, apparently. And the exact same thing can be said about season 21 episodes of The Mario Show with the Chuck E. Cheese's Jungle Gym advertisement. None of the episodes of season 21 with Elmo's World segments feature the Chuck E. Cheese's Jungle Gym segment either. But, anyway, as for the episodes that take place at Elmo's World but don't have a segment, episode 2132, which is Stuck at Elmo's World, that has the purple background with Bowser at the beginning in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers, but it has the light blue background with Princess Rosalina at the very end. So as such, it has the 2000 PBS Kids Dash Transformation ident, used the audio from the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident on it. And as for the sponsors, Stuck in Elmo's World is probably going to feature Chuck E. Cheese's opening door ad as the first sponsor, then SpaghettiOs plus calcium pasta is the second, then Kellogg's Fruit Loop Cereal Jungle ad at the beginning, or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Cereal Community Center ad at the end as the third sponsor, and then the last one would be Libby's Juicy Juice. And that will be the same order of sponsors that will also be on episode 2145, which is the episode where Bowser makes fun of Mr. Noodle's sister, Miss Noodle. Except with the yellow background in the Viewers Like You and Thank You disclaimers at both the beginning and the end, and the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident at the end. So that's pretty much all I have to say here. And Jeremy Barton, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you later. Again, apologize if the webcam is still acting very glitchy, but at least I can still record the screen, which is cool. Well, I'll see you later.